Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today we are talking about all things the asteroid Ceres in the sign of Libra. That's right. We have kind of an amazing energy coming up, and it really kind of starts June 21st and it kind of ends on September 15th. But there is a lot more information, so I'm so excited to kind of give you this information because Ceres is a really interesting kind of asteroid, so or dwarf planet, I guess, is kind of like that sort of thing. It is similar to Pluto in that it's kind of like right there on that line, so it's kind of a little bit bigger for an asteroid, but it's kind of a small dwarf planet. But this is really kind of like Ceres comes in with some amazing, very nurturing, very supportive energy. And this is all about kind of like that supportive, caregiving kind of energy. And we're kind of hitting that all over our planet all at the same time. So, kind of between these dates, you're going to have like all of this like super caregiving energy, people wanting to care for others, people dealing with other people that are caring. And you could also kind of see an insurgence of people having to take care of their family, aging parents, kids, people that are sick. You're going to see people like wanting to volunteer and help out. So it's kind of like it's going to be affecting all of us in some way. And really, I will say it starts on June 21st, 2023, and it leaves the sign of Libra on September 15th, 2023. And so, kind of like the way to really kind of take a look at this is Ceres is in the sign of Libra. So Ceres is, like I said, that caregiving kind of planet. Like, let's take care of everybody, almost like that mom kind of energy. Let's take care of everybody. Let's get everybody on the same page. And then Libra kind of brings in this sign of kind of like ruling over others and kind of ruling over relationships. And really that comes in a lot when you're caregiving for someone, like I said, like especially like an aging parent or an aging family member. Kind of that energy is Ceres' energy of being supportive, being nurturing, that sort of thing. And then Ceres in the sign of Libra is all about connecting with others and nurturing them in a different way. Kind of like they were the caregivers when you were a child and now you're the caregiver. So it's kind of like responding to that energy in a little bit different way. And this really can bring in some interesting partnerships in your life. I've seen this with many people over my lifetime, kind of like when someone's caring for someone, like the person that you would think like they're the least likely person to come up and help, or they're the least likely person to come in and assist with something, they're the ones that do. And so you're kind of like, oh, I wasn't expecting this. And so that's kind of that energy of like bringing this partnership in. And it can be really feel supportive to kind of like return to that energy, that supportive energy that that person gave you, kind of getting back into balance with them. And I will tell you, it can kind of bring in a lot of peace and harmony, not only for the person who's the caregiver, but the person who's being taken care of, and for the family. Like, oh, their mom and dad are taken care of, or aunt so and so, or uncle so and so, they're being taken care of. And it's one of those, as we get closer in this energy and further in, it's going to have like some really amazing aspects of kind of like, this is the time that we need to take care of other people. This is the time that we need to step out of our comfort zone and really assist other people that we haven't really been ready to do lately. So it's kind of like, okay, here we go. I will tell you that this is kind of it's this energy of feeling like this balance is important. And I think a lot of times, like, people don't see it. A lot of times, like, I had a client not too long ago tell me like their mom was always like the force of nature and she took care of everybody else and all that kind of stuff. And then at the end of her life, she had to care for her mom. And I was like, really, it's that balance back in the world, because a lot of times, like, mom's, was doing all this, but everybody else was kind of falling away and she was doing everything. And now it's kind of like someone's doing for her. And so it's bringing her back into balance. And it's not just like taking care of the other person, but allowing them to take care of you. Because a lot of times, like, people think, oh, I have to take care of her, but it's one of those, it's also giving you this great, amazing insight into taking care of other people and taking care of someone else. I myself had this happen in my life, and I'm going to kind of like pause this for just a second. It's one of those, I lived with my grandparents in my later teen years, and one of my aunts came up to me at some point and she was like, wow, I really wish you could see your grandfather when he was like strong and he was doing this and he was in charge of this and all those kind of things. And even at my young age, and I was one of those kind of like, where did that come from? I told her, I was like, the fun part for me is that I get to see him in all aspects of his life. I get to see him at different ages. This morning he was acting like a 4-year-old, talking about a story or something that happened to him when he was under the age of 5. And then this afternoon he acted like a teenager and kind of was telling me about what happened at school today or whatever else. And I was like, so you only knew him for this time frame. I've known him for his whole life. And that's what I'm talking about. That gift of being able to see that other person in different aspects of their life is going to be like, wow, amazing. And it really does bring that balance back into not only their life, but lives of other people and their family. Kind of like the genetics of it is kind of balancing out that energy. The beginning of this transit, kind of close as we go from June 21st and kind of like move into this Ceres in the sign of Libra energy, is going to be a little chaotic or a little kind of like what's happening, kind of like I don't find any balance in this. And it's kind of as we kind of move through different oppositions and different energy with things. So it's kind of like really interesting in that perspective. But I guarantee you this is going to make some amazing energy and kind of bring in some healing aspects of what's going on. So kind of be ready for that. I'm going to go through some dates in just a second and kind of like give us that deeper insight of like what days we really have to be aware of this, but know that this is really coming in. The very beginning of it, kind of like the June 21st to kind of like June 27th or so, you are going to be having that kind of like that Jupiter energy, so kind of expansion. And so you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is getting bigger, or a lot of people need my help, or a lot of people need my care. And then it'll feel overwhelming and then it'll calm down a little bit. Let's go into the dates. Ceres in the sign of Libra squares Mercury in the sign of Cancer on June 27th. And this is really, Ceres is no longer able to kind of retrograde right now. It's no longer retrograde, so it's kind of like this is kind of bringing us some challenges with communication and plans and ideas like, I thought you were going to take mom to the hospital, or I thought you were going to take her to the doctor's office, all that kind of stuff like that. The energy of it, kind of like communication and clearing things out. And this can be really overwhelming for a lot of family members, like, well, she normally drives herself, or now that we can't let her do this. And so that kind of brings in this wonky kind of energy of like, where do we go with this? Next, we have Ceres in the sign of Libra, sextiling Mercury in the sign of Leo on July 13th. And this brings a better energy for communication and a better energy of like creating new ideas or new ways of working around things. And this can also bring in a lot of focus on new ideas or improving the support system you already have, making opening up to new resources, but kind of making things different or better compared to what they have been in the past, and kind of like getting back into balance with things. Next, on August 17th, we have Ceres in the sign of Libra, sextile Sun in the sign of Leo. And this is like bringing like a really good energy to kind of thing, like let's point the light at what needs to be fixed, changed or modified, like what are the resources, where were the finances coming in, and kind of like where is it more comfortable and secure for everybody's what they're going through. Because a lot of times like some people are like, let's just get busy and do like go through the list, and then other people are like, I'm really feeling this much more, I'm feeling overworked or over upset, that sort of thing. And so kind of everything is coming in at the same time. Next, let's go to Ceres in the sign of Libra, sextiling Venus in retrograde in the sign of Leo. And this happens on August 16th. And so this is like a very beneficial aspect, and it can help us look through and kind of find different ways of approaching things, or kind of like making everybody feel like they're helping out, or kind of like everybody's bringing in improvement, or everybody's kind of like bringing a piece of the puzzle in. And it's going to take everybody to get this job done. It's not just one person or two people. It's kind of like everybody's got to bring their energy in. The last one I would say is kind of Ceres in the sign of Libra, sextiling or squaring Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, and this happens on September 10th. And this is kind of like the final aspect, and kind of like probably one of the more challenging ones of kind of like who's fighting over power, who's fighting over the resources, who's fighting over the finances, who's fighting over the money, who's fighting over the support system. And like bringing all of those kind of like that amazing energy of like everybody wants to be in control of something, or I see this a lot in families, like I was there when she did this, or I was there when this happened, and it's kind of like, so I deserve a bigger piece of the pie. And like I said, this happens to so many families. Hopefully it never happens to anybody else, but it's one of those, it does happen to a lot of families. And this is kind of like a way of compromising like the family integrity. It's compromising kind of like a way to kind of like push everybody apart, kind of separate everybody out. And it's one of those where before it's kind of like bringing everybody together, and this is like pushing everybody apart and bringing everybody to that challenged state of life of kind of like, I need to be in charge, or this so and so needs to be in charge. And that's the part that can really bring a lot of just like tight energy, kind of bringing in some things that people aren't ready to talk about, and it's one of those. And I will guarantee you, someone in the family is going to be like, I deserve more because of this. I deserve more because you got a better degree than I did, or I deserve more because you got a bigger piece of cake on your 5th birthday than I did. Whatever it is, there's always someone in there in the family that brings that kind of stuff up. And it's one of those, it makes it more harsh than making it easier, because they're like, I deserve more of what's going on, or I deserve more of the estate from this person, or whatever else, instead of just like being there for that person. So let's do some angel cards and hopefully get us a little bit deeper insight into all things Ceres in the sign of Libra. Hopefully this will get you some good ideas. The first one popping forward is all about intentions. Setting your intentions all the way through at the beginning of what's going on with a parent or loved one that's having to have that help or assistance. To have everybody communicate, everybody on the same page, and talking things out in advance. I've also would say, kind of one of the special things I would say is make sure that it's only the people that are directly connected, like partners or whatever else, or spouses should be left out of it, and it should only be the family. I feel like that usually happens or helps a little bit easier, because it's an easier energy to be around when it's just the family. Music. This can be something that can be very healing, not only for the family, but for the patient as well. Kind of bringing in that healing, kind of caring energy. Having music around them a lot can really help their brain function, their organs function. It doesn't mean it's going to prolong anything. It just means that it's going to make them feel better and feel kind of like more like I'm a part of what's going on. Guardian angel. This is a very special one. Their guardian angel is there no matter what is going on with them, physically, mentally, or anything else. So kind of really calling on their guardian angel during this time frame of, how can we make this easier? How can we make this more comfortable? How can we deal with this in a different way? I will tell you, is going to make things easier, not only for you, the family members, but everybody as well, because everybody has like a vested interest in this, and they all want to see that person do okay, even in the last little bit of their life, or as their required caregiving. Let's see, this one is all about forgiveness. If someone has a different point of view, or someone feels like they're not getting their fair share, make sure that you talk to somebody. Make sure that you send them to a counselor or family counselor, not only for them, but for the family as well. Because if they're feeling that, someone else feels the other way, like I got less, or I didn't get as much, or I got more, whatever it is. And balancing that energy early on is going to really help and assist kind of what's going on in the family. The next one is soulmate. Soulmate's energy can be amazing, but I guarantee you, if someone has a soulmate, like I feel like I need to stand up for my husband or my wife or whatever else, like that's the energy to push back and kind of let the family members deal with this, so they can communicate and hopefully have a better insight into this. The only way I would bring in someone else into this is if they're going to make that person easier to work with. I will say that was sometimes a good thing. Study what's going on. Study how people are working through this, because not everybody grieves in the same way. Not every family member grieves in the same manner. And so that's something to really important keep in track of, like, yes, this is an amazing aspect of, we've got to bring all of this together. We've got to do all of these energies together. That is going to make things easier and less complicated. I will guarantee you that part. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.